going on there? Is that a last of the summer wine cap, is it?
It's me Peaky.
You're Peaky.
We all wear these now in Birmingham.
Who's your favourite character in Peaky?
Gillan.
Who?
Gillan Murphy. Gillan Murphy.
Oh, brilliant. Have you watched it all?
My old man used to tell me about them years ago.
Really?
Yeah, about the razor gangs at the races. All right. And you were all around Winston Green and Spring Hill, Small Heath, they were the kiddos. And the Garrison pub where they go in, right? There is a Garrison pub right by the Blues ground.
Fantastic. It's a brilliant series, isn't it?
Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant.
What do you make of Arthur?
You don't fuck with the Peaky Blinders. Don't you worry about that. That's the name of our golf team, the Peaky Blinders.
Oh, fantastic. What are you doing? How's the lockdown? Is everybody okay, first of all?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a bit of bad news today. We've been told we've got to put the dogs on a lead, which affects the golf when we go over in the morning. But we'll get around that. Yeah, we'll get around. Yeah. Compared to most, we've got it pretty decent, and particularly bearing in mind how good the weather is. The weather's
makes a difference, doesn't
it? The weather's been magical. So, you know, I go over the golf course in the morning with the dogs for an hour or so, come back, sit in the garden, and have the occasional little glass of something. And I've got these instant barbecue things that we play about with. So, yeah, we have a bit of fun. Yeah.
Listen, let me ask you first about Manchester United. I know you've been working for Manchester United TV. What do you make of what Ollie's done?
Well, he's kept them in the frame. I'll tell you what I have been. The most impressive thing I think he's done, I think his signings have been good. Wan-Bissaka's a very good right back. You know, he's useful. The kid Fernandez is a super player. I think he's a top player, the latest acquisition. And, you know, so in that respect, I think they bought well. I like Harry Maguire. I think it's too much money, but they're all too much money. But they are people they seem to me, the three signings he's made there, all seem to be players with the right attitude.
What about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? You had your own run-ins with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when you were manager of Forest, didn't you?
Didn't have run-ins with him. He just scored 4 against us in 15 minutes.
Gave you nightmares, Ron.
Well, I mean, when Fergie took Dwight York and Andy Cole off, I thought he'd done us a favour. Then he sticks Ollie on, and who in 15 minutes has got himself 4 goals. And Andy Gray said it was still the best 9-goal thrill the Premiership's ever seen. They beat us 8-1.
Are you pleased that in this day and age, everybody's, you know, if you don't win or you lose a couple of games, everybody's shouting for your head? Are you pleased Ollie's had a bit of time or been given a little bit of time, only a little bit of time to put his stamp on the club?
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, I mean, it was looking a bit shaky around about Christmas time because obviously Manchester United have got to be knocking on the door for everything. But since then, they've had a decent run. The team's playing with a bit of confidence. All seems to have, in actual fact, it all seems to have come together, or it's certainly come together better since Fernandez joined the club. I mean, he looks a terrific player.
Yeah. Who's the best you managed at Man United?
Oh, by a distance. Well, I still think he's the best midfield player, along with Bobby Charlton and Duncan Edwards, and that's Brian Robson.
And that is some competition you're talking about as well, isn't it? He's that good. Ronnie Whelan said.
Oh, yeah.
I went to Ronnie Whelan yesterday, and I said, who's the best you played against? He said, Brian Robson.
Yeah, it would be. I can remember when we signed him, Eric Harrison, who I also took to the club. Eric was the guy that brought all the young players in. He'd been at Everton. He said he always thought at West Brom, Robbo was a smashing player. But since he worked with him, he didn't realise quite how good he was. He was better than what people thought, or even better than what people thought.
And not just as a player, as a captain as well. There's a sort of subtle difference, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, he led by example. The lads had a big respect for him. And, you know, at the time we had some other very good players around him, you know, the likes of Strachan, the likes of Whiteside, people like that, you know. So we had other good midfield players with him as well. Little Remy Moses was a very underrated player.
For people who don't know Remy, tell us why do you say that?
Because off the field, he was as quiet as a mouse. You could go on tour and not get a peep out of him. As soon as he went on the field, he became a lion. And I tell you how good one person that had the utmost respect for him was Graham Souness. Graham Souness, he used to try and make sure he kicked Remy, and Remy would kick him back. And there was a healthy competition between the two in the days where you were allowed to compete.
Yeah. What about team-wise? What's the best? It's hard to say with your great West Broms, your Manchester United, Villas, and Sheffield Wednesday. Is there a period when you thought, "Wow, this team's pretty special"?
Yeah, I mean, there was a spell at West Brom, for argument's sake, when I think we could, over a short period of time, over a period of time, I think we could have taken anybody in Europe. And then the big freeze-up came in 78. We were top of the league, and we probably didn't play again for 5 weeks. Couldn't get any real training done. First game back to Anfield, and we did look rusty. And I think we had to play something like, we had to finish the season with about 11 games in 25 days or something.
Yeah.
And in those days, of course, we used to carry a 14-man squad.
Yeah. Well, you always loved a flair player, didn't you? You say you loved not so much a rogue, but you know somebody with a bit about them. You like that kind of player.
Oh, I think every good team has a few scallywags, not villains, scallywags. People with a bit of bounce, bit of personality, almost a little bit of a rebel in them, but who genuinely wanted to win, who genuinely wanted to play. And I've had a few of those in my time, and they've been good lads. Sheffield Wednesday, we had quite a few of them. You know, John Sheridan, who was a superb player. Shez was like that, you know, a scallywag, but once he went on the field, you got everything out of him. So if you had a team of nice lads, you don't win one thing.
Was it all about winning for you, or did you always like to try and play with a bit of style?
No, I like to play in a way that I enjoyed watching, but it had to be productive. You know, I like the ball being pushed into midfield very quickly. The midfield players to look either forward or wide quickly, and then break past people. You know, sometimes I think teams, particularly nowadays, they play too much possession football in wrong areas of the field. They play, you know, I see centre halves passing to each other 25 times. Now, there used to be a saying, if you've got any problems, leave the centre halves with the ball, because traditionally they are the worst players with the ball. But my first thought in at the back, I used to say to the defenders, when you get the ball, look into the front quickly or look into midfield quickly. And then their next look has got to be forward. Not long. It can be long. It can be long passing. I mean, Arnold Muren was a gem at hitting long balls, but accurate, long passes in behind the fullbacks. He was great at that. And that was a skill. But he could also play a five-yard ball beautifully.
Did you ever make plans for special players that you came up against?
Occasionally. I remember going to Anfield once with Manchester United, and although everybody, you know, used to look at Souness and people like that as the playmakers, Kenny, And when I'd seen Liverpool play, I used to think an awful lot of their attacks came from Phil Neal. And I remember us going there one year to Anfield, switching Stevie Coppell to play on the left-hand side just to block him off, just to block Phil Neal off and make life difficult for him. So, yeah, those little things. But by and large, you used to cater for your own team.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be what you did. But you were very much aware if other teams had good strengths, you looked after that. I was interested to see Ian Rush the other day. He said in an article he wrote, hardest centre-half he ever came across in the Premiership was Paul McGrath. I mean, Paul was a fabulous player and a good lad, fabulous player. And Rushy could score tons against everybody else, but he never scored against Paul McGrath.
Yeah, absolutely. Some accolade that, isn't it?
And then after the game, apparently, what I didn't know until I saw it in Rush's article, after the game, Paul used to go up and say, "Thank you, Mr. Rush." And I can imagine steam coming out of Rush's head. Yeah.
Brilliant. What about, I'm thinking the likes of Maradona, the likes of Messi, who, you know, even going back a bit, who's your favourite down the years? Who's your number one?
I'll tell you, yeah, there's a group. There is a group. But I don't think you can ever go, I don't think you can ever go a certain number one. I mean, if Pelé had come to Europe and probably played for one of the big Spanish or Italian clubs, I think he probably would have been rated the greatest of all time. In fact, most people still do that. Maradona over a period, I mean, he carried Argentina to a world title on his own. He virtually won them it single-handed. And I'll tell you, has to go into that category, Cruyff. I thought Cruyff was a magnificent all-round player.
Yeah.
Georgie Best, you know, if Best had played in for one of the big nations, you'd have been talking about him along, you know, in the same breath as we do Messi and Ronaldo.
And talking of great players, what about yourself? Chris and the Tank, record number of appearances for Oxford. How, for people who maybe didn't see you in your pomp, who would you compare yourself to of the modern era?
Well, you've just mentioned a few there, haven't you? I'd have compared myself to Maradona or somebody like that. Nobody else would have done. In fact, you just mentioned there, I've got the record number of appearances. My brother's got the record number of goals, you know. And some people used to, and I remember us going somewhere and somebody saying, "How does it feel to be the best player in the team?" And one of the lads turned around and said, "He ain't even the best player in his family." No, I enjoyed playing, and you know, I went to a club. It was different then because you weren't looking. I had opportunities to move. I think Everton came in for me and one or two others. But it was then a question of, I mean, I loved being where we were. Oxford was great. I loved playing there. And I actually talked to Nobby Stiles when Nobby worked for me as a coach. And we compared our wages in 1968, bearing in mind, I think we just got promoted to what was then the second division. And Nobby had won the European Cup, the World Cup. And I think we're on the same basic wages. But I think his bonuses might have been a bit better. Yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, listen, you've been you've just been to Crete, or haven't you, last year? What was all that about? I know
I got involved in that thing. I got to be honest, I'd never ever heard of it. You know, there's a thing goes around where lads are playing called leisure leagues, and they play on AstroTurf pitches. They book an AstroTurf pitch out. I just thought they were playing amongst themselves whenever I've driven past one and the floodlights are on and all that. But apparently, these are leagues organised all over the world. And they asked me if I'd get involved. And in the end, I finished up doing like an ambassadorial job for them. And they had a World Cup this year in Crete. And it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I've been to 7 or 8 World Cups. But the opening ceremony, they built a beautiful stadium on the beach. Held about 5,000 people, AstroTurf, and there's 40 teams competing, teams from South America, everywhere. And the quality was good. It really was good. And I was surprised. and it was a very, very well organised tournament. In the end, Russia won it. England did very well, actually. They were a bit unlucky. I thought they lost in the quarterfinal, but they had, in fact, when they played the Greeks, and the Greeks beat them, although they should have beaten the Greeks. And playing in the Greek team was one of the lads that played in 2004, wasn't it, when the Greeks won the European?
All right.
So it was a great tournament, well organised. It was on all day. In the daytime, they let all the kids in for nothing. It was good crowds, good atmospheres, great opening ceremony. And the next one, unfortunately, because of circumstances in the world at the moment, in fact, this week we should have been in Mexico. That's me go to Mexico to do like the press conference, but that's had to be cancelled because the next one's being played in Mexico, near Cancun. It was going to be October, but that's going to be put back now till next, probably next. I think it's next March.
We've got to do the greatest player that we talk about and often ring each other up about is the one and only Maxi Rodriguez, who left Atletico Madrid. I've got to give you an apology here, actually. Who left Atletico Madrid on a free, went to Liverpool, played for about 2.5 years, and we had a difference of opinion over Maxi. But I was reading his stats after I spoke to you yesterday. You know, I think he was either 17. He scored 19 goals, 17 or 19 goals in 57 appearances for Liverpool, which wasn't too shabby.
No, well, I tell you what. I think I said to you yesterday. I think that was the basis of our conversation.
It always is.
I was actually because there's no football on television at the moment. They're showing a few old matches, and we've always had this running thing about Maxi. Well, they showed him playing in a game for Liverpool, and he got a wonderful hat trick. And I thought, I know I must ring about that and give it a mention. And somewhere along the way, I'm sure I heard them say he got another hat trick as well. So
he did. He got 2 hat tricks. Yeah.
He played in a good Argentinian side. He played in a very good Atletico Madrid side.
Okay, me hats off.
And he
me
didn't
Peaky
do bad.
Blinders caps off to you. Me Peaky Blinders is off to you. Okay, I've taken it off to you. Killian Murphy, any chance? Hey, listen, Ron, thanks for joining us. Love to Maggie. Have a safe lockdown, and I'll speak to you soon.
As we say in Birmingham, hasta la próxima.
Cheers, Ron.
See ya.